Action figure reboots. Sponsored by Pearson Art.
Hello, and welcome back. Today we're looking at a Mego Mugato. Released around 1975 as part of Mego's Star Trek Alien line. I vaguely remember these figures when they first came out. I don't know how many of them they made. I did see a few of them, and I don't think I had an opinion of them either way. I guess I thought it was a cool character. An ape with the horn sticking out of his head, wearing some crazy retro science fiction suit. What wasn't to like about it? It wasn't until years later that I finally figured out that this figure was supposed to be this character. I guess they got the head sculpt somewhat correct, but after that, they really took a left turn in Albuquerque. Don't get me wrong, I really dig this shirt. It just seems so far out of left field, though. I really don't know why they would go down this route. Back in the 70s, there was a toy company called Tomland, where they kind of had a similar figure, I guess. It was the Yeti, or the Abominable Snowman. The figures were similar in the sense that they both had fur suits. What Tomland did was they used a white bodysuit with yarn coming out of the sleeves, the pant legs, and the collar. Mego did do that with their figure, but for some reason went with this suit. I actually thought about using this outfit, but these figures are kind of rare, and I'd rather leave them to the collectors. But I do want to make this look more screen accurate. So with that being said, let's begin. We'll start with the head. I really wasn't going to change anything on this because I thought it looked fine. But like the Yeti, these are also kind of rare. So I'm going to use the reproduction version. This one is pretty good. It's a pretty good match. It's a nice copy of the original. So I had the head. Now I needed the suit. As I said earlier, I thought about doing something like Tomland did. But then I saw that CTVT was selling fur suits. These fur suits were pretty nice, but they didn't sell any in white. But when I was going through images, I came across this picture, and I thought, does he really need to be white? If you look at the original character, the two really look nothing alike, so I don't think the color has to match up perfect. So instead of holding out for a white one, I picked up one in light gray. I think this will work fine. I do actually prefer this over the white. So now we have the head and the suit. Now we need a body. On both the original and the reproduction, this figure was just put on a standard Type 2 Mego body. But instead of using that, I'm going to go with the body from this figure. This is the Mego Fonzie from the Happy Days line. I've used this body previously in the past. For certain characters, I like to use this body, mostly because of the chest piece. I had this chest piece in my parts bin that had a cracked neck, so I fixed that up with some putty, and I added the lower arms from the reproduction body. And I'm also going to be using the hands and the legs from that as well. Okay, we got all the parts. Let's put it together and see what we got. All right, I'm liking this. I'm digging it. He looks a lot more menacing, and the suit really has a nice fit to it. I was a little worried that the chest piece would be too wide to fit the suit, but it looks good. It's nice. I like it. I also think it was the right choice to use this Fonzie body. I like the way the arms, once they're spread out, could stay out. That's good for a monster. I'm kind of sorry I took out that thumbs up feature that they had. I think that would have worked pretty well as a gimmick for this character. The head looks pretty good too, even though I didn't do much to it. The reason why I mentioned earlier that this was a reproduction is because, as I said, these heads are hard to find. I like that there's reproductions out there that allows you to do things like this. I would never want to do this to an original, but I like working with these just fine. But as fun as it was to put this together, I realize it's not much of a reboot because not a lot needed to be done. But once I was finished, all I thought about was, what do I do with this suit? I do like this suit, and I think it's too nice to just throw into a parts bag. So I thought, who could use it? And then it hit me. I think this suit would be perfect for this guy. For those of you who don't know, this is a Mego Neptunian, released around the same time as the Mugato, and he was also part of the Star Trek Alien series. This figure was actually crazy, not so much for how he looked, but more so because he wasn't based on any character from the TV show or the cartoon. Mego just made him up out of whole cloth, which is kind of weird because there were plenty of characters that Mego could have made figures of. Why they went with this guy, I'll never know. But all these years later, I'm kind of glad they did. I never had this figure as a kid, but I always liked it. Or, let me say, I like the head, I like the gloves, and I like the boots. But the suit, not so much. Well, not everything about the suit. I kind of dig the bat wings. It's this green material that they used. Those lines on there are supposed to represent scales. I was never really crazy about them. Mostly because the scales, pardon the pun, were out of scale. When Mego made their Green Goblin, they used this material as well, and I never liked it on him either. I think in both instances, a dark green material to match the heads would have been perfect. But I will say, when Mattel used this material for their retro action Aquaman, I think it worked great. So it is good, just not for those two characters. In my opinion, of course. Your mileage may vary. So we have the suit, but unfortunately, there was never a reproduction made of this character. He's not as difficult to come across as the Mugato or the Yeti, but because it's been 50 years, a lot of times the gloves and the boots faded, they don't really match the head. So what I ended up doing was getting resin copies of the head, the gloves, and the boots. This way I could paint them all the same color, and they'll match up. So we have the head, the accessories, and the suit. Now we need a body. For that, I'm going to go with the hybrid Type 1, Type 2 body. I like the way the shirt fits on the Type 1 body, but I think the pants fit better on a Type 2. So I'm going to go with that. Okay, once again, we have all the parts. Let's put them together and see what we got. All right. I like this Neptunian. I really like the suit on him. I think it looks so much better. It kind of elevates him more from some goony space alien to whatever you want him to be. You can give him a backstory. He could be an ambassador or an emissary. Whatever you want. He's a made up character anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Sky's the limit. You'll notice that I didn't use the belt on this figure. I tried it, didn't like it. I'm going to use the belt for something else. I also added pupils to his eyes. Mego never did that, and to me it just never looked right. I think the pupils gives him more personality. I'm really digging this Neptunian's whole new look. It's like a makeover. He's a whole new character. You could even add him into something else. It doesn't have to be Star Trek. You could build a whole new line around him. I'm really happy with this. I really think it came out great. These Star Trek aliens are a lot of fun. Putting these together is a real blast. But sadly, these are the last Star Trek aliens from their line. But there have been some made over the years that were mixed in with the reproductions, and I wouldn't mind putting together a set of them to add to the collection. Like I said, I had a lot of fun doing these, and I'd like to do more. So I guess that about wraps it up for this episode. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, share, comment. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, always remember and never forget, think outside the box.